George Washington, 1789 to 1797, the first president. Washington was politically neutral, a war hero. He had no political party and served the two-term limit. John Adams, 1797 to 1801. Adams was a Federalist. He strengthened the Navy, avoided a war with France, and passed the controversial Alien and Sedition Acts. Thomas Jefferson, 1801 to 1809. The author of the Declaration of Independence, a Democratic Republican, Jefferson doubled the size of the U.S. James Madison, 1809 to 1817. The father of the Constitution, Madison led the U.S. in the War of 1912, but he stood at only 5'4", #short king. James Monroe, 1817 to 1825. The last founding father to serve as president, Monroe acquired Florida from Spain and warned Europe against colonizing the U.S. John Quincy Adams, 1825 to 1829. A brilliant diplomat but a poor politician, he won a controversial election and had few accomplishments. Andrew Jackson, 1829 to 1837. A populist war hero who forced the removal of Native Americans and killed the National Bank. Martin Van Buren, 1837 to 1841. The economy crashed, the Panic of 1837. Van Buren was blamed for the Depression and unsurprisingly became a one-term president. William Henry Harrison, 1841. A war hero, Harrison had the longest inauguration speech in history, just to catch pneumonia and die a month later. John Tyler, 1841 to 1845, became president after Harrison's death before being kicked out of his own party. Tyler also annexed taxes. James K. Polk, 1845 to 1849. Manifest Destiny, known as the expansion president since he expanded the U.S. to the Pacific. Zachary Taylor, 1849 to 1850. War hero who avoided taking sides on slavery, another president who died in office. Millard Fillmore, 1850 to 1853. The Compromise of 1850 delayed civil war but strengthened slavery laws in a bad way. Franklin Pierce, 1853 to 1857, supported the Kansas-Nebraska Act, reopened slavery tensions, and so was very unpopular. James Buchanan, 1857 to 1861, did nothing as the nation split, the worst-timed presidency in history, right before the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln, 1861 to 1865, ended slavery, preserved the Union, assassinated after victory in the Civil War. Andrew Johnson, 1865 to 1869, clashed with Congress over Reconstruction, the first president to be impeached, weak on civil rights. Ulysses S. Grant, 1869 to 1877, a Civil War hero who fought for black rights, although his administration was riddled with corruption. Rutherford B. Hayes, 1877 to 1881, ended Reconstruction, tied election deal, and pulled federal troops from the South. James Garfield, 1881, advocated for civil service reform, assassinated in early term. Chester A. Arthur, 1881 to 1885, surprise reformer, passed the Pendleton Act and ended the patronage system. Grover Cleveland, 1885 to 1889, an honest reformer who opposed corruption, the first president to serve non-consecutive terms. Benjamin Harrison, 1889 to 1893, signed the Sherman Antitrust Act, oversaw massive spending, earning the title Billion-Dollar Congress. Grover Cleveland, 1893 to 1897, returned to fix economic panic, introduced unpopular labor crackdowns. William McKinley, 1897 to 1901, led the U.S. to victory in the Spanish-American War, gained territories but was assassinated. Theodore Roosevelt, 1901 to 1909, progressive reformer who broke monopolies, conserved land, and built the Panama Canal. William Howard Taft, 1909 to 1913, a trust buster, who later became the Chief Justice but was too conservative for Roosevelt. Woodrow Wilson, 1913 to 1921, led the U.S. in World War I, created the League of Nations idea, a progressive reformer with deeply racist policies. Warren G. Harding, 1921 to 1923, returned to normalcy. Corrupt friends, Teapot Dome scandal, died in office. Calvin Coolidge, 1923 to 1929, Silent Cal, laissez-faire economics, roaring 20s boom, pro-business. Herbert Hoover, 1929 to 1933, in power during the Great Depression, believer in limited government aid, very unpopular president. Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1933 to 1945, the only president to serve 4 terms. The economy saved by a New Deal, led the U.S. in World War II but died before the war ended. Harry S. Truman, 1945 to 1953, dropped atomic bombs, subsequently ended World War II, and started the Cold War policy. Dwight D. Eisenhower, 1953 to 1961, a World War II general who built highways, balanced budgets, introduced modern republicanism. John F. Kennedy, commonly known as JFK, 1961 to 1963. A young, inspiring president, Cuban Missile Crisis success, pushed civil rights, tragically assassinated in Dallas. Lyndon B. Johnson, 1963 to 1969. Introduced the Civil Rights Act and Medicare, Great Society, the Vietnam War ruined his popularity. Richard Nixon, 1969 to 1974. Opened China, ended Vietnam involvement, resigned after involvement in a scandal. Gerald Ford, 1974 to 1977, pardoned Nixon and focused on stability after the scandal. Jimmy Carter, 1977 to 1981, honest but unlucky. Inflation, oil crisis, Iran hostage situation damaged his reputation. At heart, Carter promoted peace and human rights. Ronald Reagan, 1981 to 1989, conservative icon, cut taxes, boosted military, ended the Cold War, presidency ended with the Iran scandal. George H.W. Bush, 1989 to 1993, Gulf War success, economy slowed, claimed no new taxes, lost re-election. Bill Clinton, 1993 to 2001, economic boom, balanced government budget, tech rise, impeached over scandal. George W. Bush, 2001 to 2009, presidency defined by 9/11, war in Afghanistan and in Iraq, the Great Recession began. Barack Obama, 2009 to 2017, the first black president, Jenna Ortega's celebrity crush, according to Jenna herself, the president who ordered the death of Osama bin Laden. Donald Trump, 2017 to 2021, a populist outsider, presidency defined by tax cuts, trade wars, and impeachments, and we have to mention the January 6th fallout. Joe Biden, 2021 to 2025, heavy focus on COVID-19 recovery and Ukraine support amid the Ukraine-Russia conflict. President during a deeply divided era. Donald Trump, 2025 to 2029, an unexpected president whose campaign was fueled by a failed assassination attempt. Trump's presidency further divided the U.S.